Hey everybody, it's Vax with Hidden Cards Divination. I'm back with another video. I thought this time that we would do Mercury retrograde messages. Retrograde? You can tell that it's already happening. Mercury retrograde messages for the signs. Mercury went retrograde on the 29th. Stations direct on June 22nd, so we've got about 24 days of actual retrograde. Usually have about 2 weeks pre-shadow and post-shadow too, so 3 weeks of retrograde and then like another 4 of shadow time. Usually things really start to kind of clear up after the post-retrograde shadow kind of ends. So I just thought that we would do some tarot and just get some like collective messages for the signs for Mercury retrograde themes for you. Mercury retrograde can be a tricky time for some people. It's totally fine. I actually was born during a Mercury retrograde, so I have my natal Mercury is retrograde in my chart. So for me, it doesn't really, I think maybe it's a little easier for me just because I sort of live my life in a retrograde in a way. Things still happen, things still come up, but for me that's just kind of normal life. So I think you'd definitely look at your chart if your natal Mercury is retrograde already. These times might be a little easier to flow with for you. If you're a heavy Mercury sign, you can definitely feel a little bit more than somebody who doesn't have strong Mercury in the chart. Or if it's retrograding in your sign, or it's heavily aspecting some of your other placements, you might feel more. It just kind of depends. But we're gonna look. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do signs by modality. So Cardinal, fixed, Mutable. That's it, right? that's it. 3. There's 3. So we're gonna group them like that. And I think I'm just gonna pull one card. We'll just kind of see what the theme for this Mercury retrograde is gonna be for you, and then I'll clarify as needed. And hopefully it'll be fun, but we'll see kind of what's gonna be popping up for everybody. You can go by your Mercury sign if you know it. You could go by your sun sign, moon, rising, whatever kind of intuitively feels right for you. I'm going to start with cardinal signs. So cardinal is, let me see if I can remember, Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Those are the cardinal signs. So if you have any of those, sun, moon, rising, Mercury, whatever, this is going to be for you. So Mercury retrograde messages. One card to start. Theme for cardinal signs for this Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Two of Wands. It feels very fitting. Your plans are being put on hold, which is a very see, I can't even talk. It's a very Mercury retrograde thing. A lot of times when the retrogrades happen, the plans that we have or the vision we have for how things are going to go, that kind of gets put on hold, it gets delayed, it gets scrapped entirely, thrown out the window. So the things that you've been looking forward to, the plans that you've had, the vision that you've had for, the last few days up until June 22nd might not go the way that you want. And that's a very Mercury retrograde thing, because it's sort of a time that teaches you how to roll with the punches. You need to, cardinal signs sometimes can be a little controlling. Cardinal signs are very initiatory. They're kind of about action and being in control, kind of being the boss a little bit. And Mercury retrograde doesn't always just like magically make stuff go wrong just to mess with you. It brings up things for you to address that have kind of been under the surface already anyway. So you've got stuff maybe that you've been planning, that you've been wanting to do, or a situation that you've been like looking forward to, or that you have in mind for this is my vision, this is how it's going to go. And it probably won't go the way that you planned or you envisioned it. And some of that's control issue stuff. You have to learn how to just kind of flow with that, let it go, adjust, adapt, because Mercury is all about that, right? Like just kind of adjusting, adapting, especially in Gemini. Right now, Mercury is in its domicile. He's not answering to anybody. Nobody's ruling over him because he's in his own sign. So it's a very sort of mutable, flexible kind of energy, which can be hard for cardinal signs. Like, I want it to go this way. This is how it has to be. But for this retrograde, you're going to learn to maybe not always have things your way. That's what I get from the Two of Wands. I didn't feel like I needed to clarify this one, so maybe I'll just pull an advice card for you, and we'll see like maybe what can help you to be a little more adaptable, be a little more flexible, let go of control issues. We all have control issues. Everybody wants to feel in control of their life, of course. I have a lot of cardinal placements. I have Aries moon and Venus, and I'm a Cancer rising. So I totally relate to that. Like, I want to be in charge. Cardinal signs want to be in charge. So let's get an advice card for that. Like, Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords for me with advice especially is about being objective, right? She's not so detached from everything that she doesn't feel her feelings, but she recognizes that her feelings aren't facts. So, you know, if stuff's coming up for you, if your plans are getting thwarted, if you feel out of control, recognize that those feelings are valid, but not necessarily the whole truth of the situation. Try to be objective about things that come up. Realize that I really like how these cards are like sort of looking at each other. That's interesting. Realize that it's okay to let go, right? Because the Queen of Swords is not afraid to do that. She's not afraid to cut stuff out and just kind of let go and detach from that too. Like, she can be kind of icy, which gives her a bad rep. But sometimes you need to be able to do that, to be objective and sort of distance yourself from whatever it is and be like, okay, wait, like, all right, this didn't go the way that I envisioned it. It didn't go the way that I planned. I'm feeling a little bit out of control. That's fine, but it may not be the whole truth of the situation. And just like, yeah, that's what I get for that. So, you know, might have some stuff a little rocky, but I think, you know, just remember to be wise, you know, and logical, which I know can be a hard time. It's hard to have logic when Mercury's in retrograde. Like, logic, what? Pfft, Mercury kind of rules logic, so that's like, but it's a good time to practice those things, because Mercury retrograde is a time for redoing, revising, revisiting, reviewing, all of the words. So it's a good time to sort of practice staying centered and objective when things feel the opposite of that. That's what I got. That's what I got for you guys. Okay, so next modality we're going to do is fixed signs. So Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, fixed. Sun, Moon, Mercury, rising, Venus, whatever. Fixed signs for Mercury retrograde. Do one card, clarify as needed, maybe advice. See what's happening. And if you have your birth chart, or you can get your birth chart, you know, go online, get an app, get your birth chart, and see what house Gemini is in your chart, and then find out the themes of that house. That'll give you more insight into what is going to be affected by Mercury retrograde. Okay, just a little sidebar there. Fixed signs. Fixed signs. Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, Mercury retrograde. What do we got? One card. Just one to start. No? Maybe not? All right. Try it again. That was jumpy. It was like a little jump. We'll take. Ooh. Don't be scared of this guy, though. The Devil. This is actually really appropriate for fixed signs, I feel like. Because fixed signs, you guys, it's all in the name. Fixed. Like, these are the ones that they like things to stay the same. They like to know what's theirs, right? Mine. This is mine, and I'm going to keep it. I'm fixed. They're fixed. They're rooted, like, which sometimes can be like being bonded to things, really attached to things that really aren't good for you. Because, I mean, the Devil's all about, like, the Devil's about, you know, like, pleasure and earthly delights and, like, a little bit of hedonism, like having fun. There is like a good part of the Devil. It's not all bad, but it's also about like bonds and attachments and toxicity and codependency, which sometimes I feel like fixed signs can struggle with, because since you're fixed and you're like, you want things to stay the same, you want these are my people, this is my place, this is I know, like this, all of this is mine. Sometimes change can be hard, and letting go can be hard, even if those things are not great for you, because better the devil you know than the one that you don't. That's totally what I get, and that's what's coming up for you during Mercury retrograde. You're going to be facing patterns of like toxic, maybe codependent sort of attachments, and that could be your job, your friends, your partners, the way you think about money, the way you think about yourself, your relationship with yourself, old ideas and thought patterns that you have. That could be so many things. The devil you know, right? You're going to be facing that idea that like you're more afraid of change, you know, than being stuck in this unhealthy thing. And you're really going to have to be willing maybe to let it go, to walk away, to break that pattern, break that tie, and that's a little bit more challenging for you guys. Let's get advice. Let's get advice on that one. Advice for this devil for fixed signs. Devil can also be like addictions. If that's something that, you know, resonates for you. Totally Mercury retrograde. My cards don't want to talk to me. Advice. Oh, that's a little tricky. Four of Wands, which is a lovely card. You know, it's a card about union, reunion, finishing something, like celebration or returning to something. When I said union, I kind of felt like maybe union with yourself, right? Alignment with yourself and what you need, and coming from a place of like self-knowledge so that you can know for real like what things are good, fun things that make you happy and bring you pleasure, and what things are draining you and are toxic and need to be left behind with Mercury retrograde. And Mercury retrograde it's a time for revision. It's not necessarily a time to be like making any rash decisions. So you can use this time to review those things, to really take an honest look at them. And then after Mercury is done retrograding, when it goes direct on the 22nd, and then maybe even a little bit after, post shadow time, then you can really put those plans into action, because Wands is a fire suit. So it's about action. This is a card of celebration and like feeling good. Like I talked about, knowing what feels good and what doesn't, what drains you. And so being in alignment with yourself, being in union with yourself so that you can really know, okay, like this is who I need to be for me. This is what I need to do for myself. Get to know yourself. Come home to yourself. Because sometimes this card feels like a homecoming to me, like a weary traveler who's been gone, like a prodigal son type of thing, and they're returning and there's like a celebration. So yeah, coming home to yourself. No more people pleasing and toxic things. Big signs. It's okay to let go. It's okay to change. The devil is not always the better option. Okay, last but not least, mutables. So mutable signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So mutable, Sun, Moon, Mercury, rising, Venus, whatever. Themes for the Mercury retrograde. And I think mutables are probably going to be getting hit the hardest by this, because the retrograde is happening in a mutable sign. So it's activating all of the mutable energy in your chart. So, or if you have like a lot of Gemini, Virgo, Sag, or Pisces, then it's probably a little more prevalent for you. Okay. Let's do it. Mutables, Mercury retrograde, RX themes. Retro. I'm just going to try to stop saying that word because I stumble over it every time. I swear I'm usually more well spoken. Pretty fitting. Like major transformation. This actually came up for the Gemini video that I just did as external influences, like the environment that you're in. Yeah, and I just said if anybody's getting hit the hardest by this Mercury retrograde, it's my muties. Yeah. Death isn't the end. It's just the next step. It's transformation. It's change. It's the end of life as you know it, right? It's hard for me to say exactly what that's going to be for you, but it's not a small thing, right? It could be an ego death. It could be, the end of old patterns for you, mindsets, relationships. But death is like, it clears the way for something radically different. And that's ultimately good. And I think, you know, because mutables already are very flexible and adaptable and versatile and they can flow. So it can be sometimes alarming, shocking, but if you can roll with it, you know, don't get too attached to one way of doing something. You know, let this transformation take place. I think we're fairly good at that as mutable signs. Let Mercury and Gemini work his magic and shake shit up for you, because that's what's going to happen. Like, this is big. It's a whole revision. And like look at Death. He's like stomping all over everything, right? It's like clearing the path, clearing all the obstacles, just right through, like steamrolling over all of the old things that aren't it for you anymore. Advice card? Yeah. Yeah. It feels kind of like it feels very inner. Like I said, ego death earlier. Like, it feels like very spiritual. Some kind of like an inward thing. Advice. I don't feel like it's like a physical outward thing that's going to happen maybe to you necessarily. Like, it might be something that you're working on, something that you're choosing. Maybe you have kind of like it's like a process that you're going through. And you notice in this card, right, Death's like stomping through, but here the sun is breaking, right? So like, yeah, it feels good. It feels like cleansing. Advice, please. Advice. Let's try again. I'll try to put timestamps in the description. So like, if you want to click around, you can. Wow, really like, okay. Oh, there it went. The Chariot. Chariot is about, I love the Chariot. It's like I think it's like a Cancer card, maybe. It's about like willpower, right? This person is in this chariot and he's got these two opposing forces that are pulling him, and he has to kind of rein them both in to get where he needs to go. It's like sheer force of will, but also it can be control issues, right? And you've got this. What is that? It's a 7 and a 13. Okay. Just let go. Just let it happen. Don't fight it. Like, and I know mutables especially, we're constantly being pulled in two different directions. And it feels like sometimes you're just going in circles, or you're at a standstill and you're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I want to happen? How can I make this be what I want? but this is your advice card for this. And yeah, just let it go. Don't try to control it. Don't try to force it to be anything else, right? The Chariot is reconciling these two opposites, which is something that mutables kind of have to do all the time. And especially with Mercury retrograde in Gemini, like Gemini is here to teach you that not everything is either or. More often it's both and. You have to have the, like, it's like the reconciliation of two paradoxical states, which is, can be hard to wrap your mind around, but it's very doable. You can be two things at once. Unlike this binary here is not always how things are. I think mutable double-bodied signs, we live that. Both and. Let this transformation take place. Don't fight against it. Don't try to be in control of it. Let it happen, because it is for you. It's what you need to be doing right now. That's what I get. That's what I get for that. Nice little short and sweet video for everybody. I hope there was something for you in this that resonated for you. That was what you needed to hear. Hopefully the retrograde is good to you. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.